Masechta Shavuos, Daf Lamed Amud Aleph, we're starting to do Perek Revi'im, Shavuos Haedus. Shavuos Haedus is referring to a case where somebody denies that he doesn't know testimony about to help his friend, and it says Lo Yagvid Nasa Aveinai. So the Mishnah is going to explain who are those that are fit to be chayiv in the shua, chayiv in the carbon of Shavuos Haedus. Shavuos Haedus the hex by Nas B'Levi Nashim. Shavuos Haedus is naig only by men and not by women. Only those that are distant from those that are baladinim, but not with somebody who's a karev to the baladinim, or the edim are coming between each other, or others even say that they're coming to the rayonim. It has to be kosher edus, not psulim, not gazlanim, or apostle, not aisa. Mesach B'Kuvia is only a psulim that Abanim will explain later. And it's not knowing only with those that are fit to testify. And the Gemara will explain what is he coming to exclude with that. Zog the Mishnah, the Chiyuv of Shavuos Haedus is say if the Eidim denied b'fnei bezdin, b'shaloi b'fnei bezdin, and say if they denied the shvur was done outside of bezdin, mipi atzmai, and the shvur was done by the mouth of the Eid itself. Oh, mipi achedim, and when the shvur was mipi achedim, ein chayom machichu b'hem bezdin. If the shvur was done to others, then they're not going to be chayiv. The Eidim are not going to be chayiv till the denial happened in bezdin itself. Those are the words of Rav Meir. Chum argue and say bein mipi atzmai, bein mipi achedim, whether the testimony was mipi atzmai or whether it was mipi achedim, ein chayovim achich b'hem bezdin. That they're not going to be chayiv the Shavuos Haedus till the denial was in bezdin. Meaning the Chacham argument on Rav Meir ben again mipi atzmai. Zog the Mishnah v'chayom azdain hashvuah, and you're chayiv on a meiz b'shvuah of al shegigasim im zdaina eidus and on a shoygeg, but the eidus, the kriyas eidus was b'meizid. Meaning, so what was the shoygeg? That he didn't know what kind of a carbon he's going to be chayiv. Or he didn't know he's going to be chayiv a carbon. But he's not going to be chayiv if he was a shoygeg on the testimony itself, because then he's considered as honest. He's not chayiv anything. What is he going to be chayiv on a mezid in the shvur if the shvur was done intentionally? And so to on a shigas shvur with the zdaina edus, says the Gemara, come right away. Says the Mishnah, I'll come right away. From where do we know that Noshim Apsil is laid? Is the Tana Abraham is learned. It says, and two men will get up, two Edis will get up, the pasuk is referring to Edis. You're saying, maybe it's referring to the two litigants. How do you know it's referring to the Edim? It says, when it says Asher Lahem, that they have an argument, that the litigants have an argument, so the Baladin already was mentioned. So what does Ram Lishnei Anoshim come to teach us? But obviously it's referring to Eidim. And if you're going to have a question, I'll give you another answer. Here it says Ram Lishnei Anoshim, Shnei, the word Shnei, and by Eidim it says I'll be Shnei Eidim. Just like there it's referring to Eidim, so too so too here it's referring to Eidim. What is the command of the Braisa when he says if you'll have a question, I'll bring you the Gzei Shavah? What was the question? He's going to say from this that it doesn't make a continuation, that the two people of Amdishna Anoshim that they have an argument. So it was mashma that the Noshim Ashalah Mariv are the same people that he mentioned in the beginning. Is that that the whole pasuk was referring to the litigants. If it says Ashalah Mariv, Vasha would have broken it up. But from this that it doesn't say with a vav, that's mechaber, that it connects it to the two people that were standing. So the vav is mashma that the people had Ariv are the same two people that are mentioned to begin with. But it doesn't say v'asher to break it up. If it says asher lahem ariv, when it doesn't say vav to break up to a new subject, rather it says asher lahem ariv, so it sounds like it's the same people. The whole pasuk is referring to the litigants. That's why we needed a pasuk. That's why we needed gzeir shavat. Nemakan shnei, nemakan shnei. Malahala, just like over there, it's be'edim. It's referring to edim. Avkam be'edim. So too here, it's referring to edim. Then we learned in another place. It says vam shnei anashim be'edim akas be'daber. It says and two people will get up. It's referring to the edim. Atem be'edim. You're saying it's be'edim. Ayin halav be'balei adinim. Maybe it's referring to the litigants. And given Amato, you could say, and Taina, surely it's not referring to Baladinim. Why are you saying only two people come as litigants? You can find more than two, three. Even though by Eidim you can find more than two Eidim, but the normal amount is two Eidim. So if you're referring to the litigants, why did you say Shnei? If you're referring to Eidim, it makes sense Shnei. That's why we say it's referring to the Eidim. And if you can have a question, so I'll tell you a different answer. It says over here, and it says by Api Shnei Eidim. Just like by Api Shnei Eidim, the Shnei is going on the Eidim. So too, it's referring to Eidim. What was the question that you had? So he says, and if you're going to want to say that the reason why he mentioned Shnei, he's not talking about the litigants itself. He's talking about the two sides, the Teveya and the Nitva. So that's why it says Shnei. So maybe it's going on the litigants. So we're telling you, no, there's a different answer. It says by us, the Shnei Anoshim, and it says by Eidim, the word Shnei. Just like Baal Pi Shnei Eidim is Shnei is going on the Eidim. So too, the Shnei Anoshim is going on the Eidim. Tanya Eidach, we learned another Bryce, so we have the Shnei Anoshim. Eidim Akas Medaber is referring to Eidim. You're saying it's Eidim. Maybe it's referring to the litigants. Amart says you could Taina. Do only men come ladin? Noshim boys ladin. Women are not litigants. Women are also litigants. So what's Vam Dushnei Anoshim referring to? Obviously, it's referring to the Eidim, and not to the litigants, because litigants don't have to be Anoshim; can be women too. And if you're going to have a question, I'll answer you. And if you have a question, I can answer the Gzeir Shavah that Shvam Nishna Anoshim is referring to Eidim, like we explained before the Gzeir Shavah. What was your question of Nafsh Chalaima? It says, if you're going to say the reason why he said Vam Nishna Anoshim and not women, because he shall have urcha. It's not the derech of a woman to come to Bezdin. She hires somebody to represent her, a man to represent her. Mishum, it says, the whole glory and covet for a daughter of a king is Pnima, is inside, not to flirt outside, mingle with the people. So therefore, normally it's men, and that's why it says Ram Dushnaya Noshim. So we'll tell you, it's going on the Eidim, not on the litigants, because it says Namakan Sheni Namalan Shnei. Shnei. It just here it says Ram Dushnaya Noshim, and it says by Eidim the Lashon Shnei. Malahalam Eidim, just like by the Eidim. The word Shnei is referring to Eidim. Avkam the Eidim. So too the Shnei is referring to Eidim. It says that the two Eidim will stand. Mitzvah l'baladin sheyamdu. It teaches us it's a mitzvah for the litigants to be standing. Rav Yehuda said, "Shemaiti." I had heard my Rebbe Shim Ratzel Lahish V'Shneim Meishivim. If he wants to, the Dayan want the two litigants to sit, they sit. Aizahu Asa. Which one is Asa? He says, you shouldn't have one litigant standing and one sitting. And so too, Echad Medaber called Saki, one is allowed to speak all that he wants. And one, the Dayan tells him, hey, be limited with your words. Then it fogs up his mind, and he cannot articulate his argument because he feels that he's being favored. The Dayan is being favoring one over the other. Rightfully, righteously, you should judge your friend. One of the baladin should be standing and the one sitting. One, the dying will allow him to speak all he wants, and the one who tells him, limit your words. Another pshat, have you done that you should be done, your friend, and of course, this is talking about when it's talking about when a person sees his friend who's doing something that is a suffix. It's questionable if he's being given avera. Be done l'kavskos. As long as you're not sure, and it could be either way. So be done that he's doing l'kavskos. Tanya Rav Yosef Gelent. B'tzelik tishma misecha am shehu yitcha b'telu mitzvahs. A person who is with you in Torah mitzvahs, meaning a Talmud Chacham, hishtadol l'deina yofer. Meaning, if there's a list of a row of people who their arguments have to be heard, listen to his first, to his argument, to his case first. Rav Ula, the son of Rav Eloi, had a dinner with another person. Kamei Rav Nachman before Rav Nachman. Shalom Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef sent to Rav Nachman, Ula Chavireinu Amis B'Torah Mitzvahs. Ula, our friend, is a chava, is knowledgeable in learning Torah, and he does mitzvahs. He's a Talmud Chacham. Amos, Rav Nachman said, Lamai shalachli. What did Rav Yosef send me this for? Lechanu filei. Does he want that I should look for and be noted the din for him because he's a Talmud Chacham? So it was the answer to Rav Nachman, and he said the kavanah. They said the kavanah of Rav Yosef was lemisha b'tigrei. Listen to his case before the others. So Gemara inami or Bishuda the Daine is that if a person died and he left of a will with a person with a name, and there were many people who had the same name, and amongst them was a Talmud Chacham, so you should and it's going according to the Dayan's Shatzung. There's no facts and there's no, so he should look and give it to the Dayanim. If he has to choose from one of the Mikoravim, he should choose the Talmud Chacham. Is between the Chacham and Rabbi Yehuda b'negei l'balei dinim is only b'negei to balei dinim if you can tell them to sit down. But when it comes to Edom, everybody agrees that they have to be standing. It says that the two people have to be standing. Is whether the balei dinim have to stand in a time when they're saying their arguments. That's when the machlekes was whether they could sit or not. When they announced the psak din, the Dayanim should be sitting, and balei din ma'amida, and the balei din should be standing. Like it says in the pasuk, Moshe sat to judge the nation. And at that time it says that the nation was standing. So you see that the litigants have to be standing when it comes to the psak din. Lishnachlina, another lashon, according to the words of Rav Huna, meaning that we learn out the words of Rav Huna from a different makar. A machlek is if the balei din have to stand, is b'shas hamas or matan. It was only during the time of the arguments. But in the time of the psak, everybody agrees that the Dayan should be sitting and the balei din standing. For the Gemara, the Eidim are, I don't know if the Gemara is saying, the Eidim saying the testimony is as if it's the Gemara din, because that's all they do. They say the testimony and it's finished. And it says by these two Eidim, when they're saying, because it's like the Gemara din, all they do is say the pasuk, say the Eidos, and it's done. And it says they should be standing. So just like the Eidim stand b'shas hagot Eidos because it's it legabeihem, that's their Gemara din. So too the balei dinim have to stand at the time of the Gemara din. The wife of Rav Huna had a case with another person. Before Rav Nachman. And Rav Huna had passed away. That's why she was coming to Bezdin. Otherwise, Rav Huna would have came himself. Omar, so Rav Nachman said, "Hechin Navid, how could I deal with this? If I get up for her, mistakon tanos the baldina, the tinus of the baldin, he will become all fogged up because he's going to see that the dayan is giving more cover to the woman. He's showing favoritism, and he won't be able to articulate his taina. Lo yekim mekama. I shouldn't stand up for her. She's just Shavous. She's a wife of a Talmud Chacham, and a wife of Talmud Chacham, a wife of a Talmud Chacham, Chaver, is like the Talmud Chacham itself. Amalei, so Rav Nachman said l'shamoi, he said to his Meshamish, go and have this flying goose, throw it towards me, and then I will have to stand, and I'll stand. And the Baladin won't understand that he's standing before the wife of Rav Huna al's covet. In fact, Rav Huna himself said, "Machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan, if the Baladinim have to stand b'shas masmamat at the time when they're stating the arguments of b'shas Gmadin, but at the time of the Gmadin, the Dayan have to be seated and the Baladin b'amidah. So how could it be that the Dayan will get up to give cover to the wife of Rav Huna b'shas Gmadin? And he wanted the Yaskiman the Shalom Asane. He was sitting like a person who's about to untie his shoes. So it was like between sitting and standing. Amma, he said the Psak Din, Ish Plainata, Zakai Ish Plainata Chayiv, but he was sitting like in between sitting and standing. Amma Rabba Barabuna, Haitzum Rabbanan, this Talmud Chacham, V'ama Oretz, these Ludin Ba'adei Adadi who have a din one with the other, we sit down the Talmud Chacham, and to the Amaretz we also say Tiv, sit. And then if nevertheless he gets up, we don't have to be concerned that he's going to feel this favoritism towards the Talmud Chacham. Rabbi Sharabi had a din with the Amaretz. Kamed Rapapa before Rapapa. Rapapa made him sit, and he also allowed the other Baldin to sit. Also, Shlich the Beidina, the Shlich Bezdin, the Shamish came, he kicked him, he made him Amaretz, and he made that Amaretz get up. But the Papa didn't say a word to him that he should sit. In fact, how did the Papa allow that he should stand? Now his mind is going to be fogged up because he's going to feel this favoritism, and he's not going to be able to articulate his argument. This Amaretz will say to himself, Papa, the Dayan, told him to sit. It was the Shlich Bezdin who doesn't allow him to sit. It has nothing to do with me, so he's not going to feel that there was favoritism. Rav Huna said this, Talmud Chacham, the Amaretz, these that they have a din one with the other. They shouldn't have the Talmud Chacham sit first before the Dayan, even if he's sitting quietly. Because it seems like he set up and they had spoken between each other first. And which is a terrible thing, which will fog him up. They're going to be chesed that he listened to one without the other. And we know you're not allowed to do that. This is all talking about when the Dayan who was the teacher of the Baladin, didn't have a set time at that time to learn. But what's if that time he usually had a set time to learn with him, to teach him? The Dayan taught him. Then we don't have any concern if he was sitting there before, because the other Baldin will say, I know for a fact these guys learned together. So therefore he was just learning with him. This Talmud Chacham, the Yod Sahadusa, that knows Avis for his friend, and it's a zilzul, it's an embarrassment for him to go to a bezdin that knows less than him, or that was a lower level than him. To go to the bezdin that's lower than him in wisdom, to testify in front of them for somebody else. So then, he doesn't have to go. We also learned matzah sakai kupa. If he found a baguette or a box, and it's such a thing for Adam Chasha, it's not lefichvedet to go and take it. That is loyitel. Then he's not mechuyev to take it, to return it, because a person doesn't have to be mezalzel in his covet to return aved to his friend. Says that's only when it comes to issues of money, that he doesn't have to testify. When it comes to Yonim of Yisurim, like a woman who's asking a bezin that they should be matir to go get married because her husband died. So a Talmud Chacham that knows her husband's alive, he must come and testify, because it says Ein Chacham Ein Tfunim Ein Eitzel Naged Hashem. There's no wisdom or understanding or counsel towards Hashem. Any place where there'll be a desecration of Hashem's name, then we don't distribute cover to the Rab. So therefore, he has to come and testify. Rav Yeda knew Eidus Lamazuta for Mazuta Aslaka Meima. So Rav Yema came to testify in Bezdin before Ameima, in front of Ameima for Mazuta. I seen the Kulu. So Ameima sat them down. Amalei Abash not Ameima, but Ulamach Lekis. That it's on Chalitz between Rav Yeda and Chacham ben Agei Balei Adinim, ben Agei to the litigants. Ableidim Libahakel. But when it comes to Adam, everybody holds Ba'amida that they have to be standing. How could he have sat that down? Amalei Ameima said to Abashi, Hi Aseyu. This that they don't have to testify standing is a mitzvah say. Like we said, Ve'omdushne Hanoshim. V'hai, and also L'chavit Tamid Hachamim is also Aseyu. It says that's Hashem Alekachatira. And we learn out from the extra word as that you have to be Mechavit Tamid Hachamim. V'hai, so Asey the Kvedat Teda Odiv. He says Asey the of Kvedat Teda is greater than the mitzvah, than another mitzvah, and therefore he sat down the Talmud Chacham the time that he was testifying, because I say of Kavod HaTorah is greater than the mitzvahs. The mitzvah l'chav Talmud Chacham is because of his Torah, and the Kavod of Talmud Chacham is Kavod HaTorah. Kavod HaTorah, it supersedes the mitzvahs.